Hi everyone, I thought I'd do a little video today because I spent the afternoon in court yesterday and it was a bit of a farce really. There were numerous issues when I arrived. First of all, they had me down as two different people for two different court rooms. In one paper said I was in court 7 as David A. Beale, and the other paper on the wall said I'm David Beale in court 5. So I said to the clerk, I said, look, there's only one David Beale. I can't be in two different rooms. And my name's David Beale and not David A. Beale. I've never been David A. Beale. I've always been David Thomas Beale. I'm not David A. Beale. So David A. Beale doesn't exist. And the clerk said to me, well, we got you down for 2 offences. One on the 19th of December dressed as a snowman, and one on the 9th of January in Clapham Common. And I said, well, David A. Beale in Clapham Common doesn't exist. The paperwork says David A. Beale and I'm not David A. Beale, I'm David Thomas Beale. So that's an error, isn't it? That's an error. And he said, oh, well, you know, it's an admin error, but it doesn't matter. This is a legal document which has brought me to court today. So this needs to be changed. This needs to be properly corrected. The clerk came out. I didn't even know who he was. He came out to the reception area. And in front of other people in the reception area, he said, oh, your name's David Beale, isn't it? I'm like, yes. And he goes, oh, I presume you're going to plead guilty then for your case. I'm like, well, what case? Well, because you were gathering in the Tier 4 area on the 19th. So you were gathering in the Tier 4 area on the 9th of January. I'm like, well, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here in this courtroom today because I was charged with being in a Tier 3 area on the 19th of December. And he's like, oh, okay, but I got you down for the 9th of January as well in the Tier 4 area. I'm like, well, that's all not what I'm here for. According to this in black and white, I'm here for being here on the 19th. I'm not here in black and white for being here on the 9th of January. So he's trying to get me to plead guilty without even explaining what I was pleading guilty for. He wouldn't explain what my charge was. It's only because I asked him in my wisdom what my charge was that he was telling me to plead guilty for. So luckily I did, because otherwise he would have just put me down as guilty for assembling in a Tier 4 area on the 9th of January under a false name which doesn't exist. The duty lawyer came out. I saw him as quite an older gentleman, bless him. He's all masked up. They're all masked up in there. And he just kind of walks up to me, and I presumed he was a duty lawyer. He just walks up to me. He didn't even say who he was. And he says, are you David Beale? I'm like, yes, I'm David Beale. Oh, okay then, thank you. And he just walks off. I'm like, okay, what's that about? And then I saw him walking up and down, probably about 4 or 5 times, trying to find somebody to speak to and find a courtroom. He didn't even know which courtroom he was meant to be in. He went up and down, up and down. And I was looking at this guy thinking, I'm sure he's meant to be my duty lawyer. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to presume. And he didn't introduce himself as a duty lawyer, so I just kept watching him. And then the clerk came back out and he said to me, has the duty lawyer came to see you yet? I'm like, well, a man came out with a blue mask on and he said, am I David Beale? And I said, yes. And then he just walked off. Oh, okay then. Okay. And then the clerk walked off. So the clerk was trying to find the duty lawyer. The duty lawyer was possibly trying to find the clerk. They were walking up and down, both trying to find each other in this building. And then I was taken into the courtroom without having seen the duty lawyer at all. So all that time I've been offered a chance to speak to the duty lawyer. Never had a chance to speak to him because he didn't seem to have a clue who I was. Never spoke to me, never offered me a chance to explain my case and my explain myself at all. So the whole thing was a complete farce. And in court 5, they were charging me with breaching the coronavirus regulations in the T3 area. So about the shaky camera, by the way, it's not a very good tripod. So they invited me into court 5, invited me to Wimbledon Magistrates Court for an offence committed on the 19th of December 2020, where I was stopped in Westminster, and I was participating in a gathering of more than 6 people in a public outdoor place in a Tier 3 area. So I was in a public space in a tier 3 area in a gathering of more than 6 people, and I was dressed as a snowman. Now that's the reason why I was sent to court. Possibly because I was dressed as a snowman. Who knows? I don't know. I also had a placard as well. Placard didn't help. So they say, we must be on a protest. He's dressed as a snowman, and it's like run up to Christmas. Very strange seeing a snowman at Christmas time. But anyway, that's another story. So they invited me into court. They didn't mention once the other offence by David A. BEALL on the 9th of January, which is, so I had 2 offences. That's gone down to 1 offence because they knew that they were wrong. They knew there's an error in the paperwork and they knew they messed it up. So they didn't mention that offence. They only mentioned this one on the 19th of December. So I spent a very short time in the courthouse. They knew I was there. They already told, they had a witness to say that I was there at a gathering on the 19th of December dressed as a snowman. That's what they said on this intercom. There's like 3 different TVs. It's not even a proper courtroom. I had these like 3 intercoms, different people on the intercoms on these TVs. I had maybe about 10 people sat around by the judge. I didn't have a clue who any of them were. Even the judge didn't introduce themselves. She was very pleasant, but she didn't say who she was. Nobody introduced themselves. I could have been speaking to anybody in that courthouse, and they all listened to my personal details. Don't have a clue who they were. So after a short time, the prosecution said, oh yes, this man was on a gathering, he was dressed as a snowman, he's carrying a placard. That's correct. I've got nothing to dismiss that. I've got no reason to dismiss that. I was. So the judge says to me, how do you plead about being in a tier 3 gathering of more than 6 people? And I said, I'm guilty. Okay, she said. Oh, okay. She looks a bit surprised that I was just being so upfront and honest. And then she said, and then she gave me a chance to speak, which was very nice of her. So first of all, I spoke about, basically I told her that I told the judge that I was very upset with the way my snowman had been assaulted. And I held up this snowman costume picture, the before and after my assault by the police. Now the police deny any assault of the snowman costume. They said there's no evidence to say that my snowman mask was assaulted. But clearly there is, because I've got photo evidence here. So I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but that's it. So I held this up to the judge and the court and said, this is what's happened to my snowman costume. And this is a work of art. I told her, this is a work of art here that the police have damaged. It was a violent assault on my snowman costume. And I don't know what I don't know what the snowman thought of it. I don't know what the court thought of it. And they were just like silent. And I don't think this guy's a bit strange. But yeah, I thought, no, my snowman costume was assaulted. I want them to know that in court. I want the judge to know that. I am the victim here. I am the victim. Make it clear. Make a note of that, guys. Okay, so the second thing which I mentioned, which really threw them and didn't stop my conversation, that's when they stopped me talking, was when I mentioned this article.
I'm telling you, he was done.
Okay, that's we can't talk about that now. We're talking about your court case. We're talking about your demonstration. That's why you're telling me to shut up, because I'm talking about something which is very sensitive. They said, because the judge said to me, because you pled guilty early, we're going to be lenient on you, and we're going to give you a third off the fine. I thought, oh, whoopie-doo. I feel very privileged. So the third off the fine, believe it or not, was a total sum of £800. £800 for attending one gathering peacefully, without any violence. I'm not a violent man. I've got a very good track record. One offence in a tier 3 area. Okay, here's the evidence. This is my collection order and my fine. Yeah, £800. Plus I've got to pay a victim surcharge of £80. Who the victim is, I don't know. I've not assaulted anybody. I've not robbed anybody. I've not verbally abused anybody. A victim surcharge. And yeah, and extra costs for the court fee. So that's £965. £965 fine for this farce. Okay, I should be fining them. Okay, I had my costume violently ripped to pieces. I was abducted off the streets. I was placed in a cell overnight. I pretty much just had a t-shirt on and shorts because my snowman costume was over my shorts and t-shirt. It's all I needed to wear underneath. Kept in overnight against my will, and yeah, and I was just horrified. And you're charging me £965 for one offence. This is a bit excessive. So before I was able to leave the courtroom, I didn't agree with it. I didn't say, oh yeah, that's good for me, I'll do that. I just stood there in silence and stared at the judge as if to say, what are you thinking? Are you serious? Also, one other thing actually in court, they asked me how much I earn. I said, well, what do you need to know that for? She said, well, we need to know how much to charge you. We need to know how much you earn. I'm like, well, it's a bit impersonal. I've got all this audience of people around me. Why can't I just tell you as a judge? And she said, oh, we can't do that. No, we have to do it here in the courtroom. So I've got a panel of complete strangers all around me, and I'm telling them personal stuff like how much I earn. So because I'm an honest man, I did tell them how much I earn. I didn't beat around the bush because I'm an honest person, and I'm going to stick to honesty because that's who I am. I'm an honest person. And that's partly the reason why they gave me quite a big fine, because they thought, well, we can get a bit more money out of this man. He's got more money than, you know. I mean, I'm not on a huge wage. I have to say, I'm really not on a huge wage. I work in healthcare, mental health care. As you guys know, if you work in mental health care, that's not very good. Not a very good sum. Not a good salary. So anyway. Outside, the clerk very kindly gave me this bit of scribble. That's my court fine. On this court fines leaflet, it's not even a proper document, it's just a bit of leaflet, and he's scribbled court fine on it, with a biro. Thought, well, is this all I get? You know, I come into court, you know, look at me, I'm all smartly dressed. I'm actually the smartest person in that courtroom. You know, smartest person dressed in the court in total, really. Most people came in with jeans and t-shirt on, but here I was in a full suit. Steady there, ladies. Yeah, and that's all they gave me, some crappy old bit of paper. You know, and it's got some scribble on the back saying, ring this number to pay your fine. So I emailed them today, and I said, excuse me, can you give me a proper document, please? This isn't even a legal document. All you've given me is a bit of scribble on a bit of paper. So they sent me this by email, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you very much. South London Magistrates Court, thank you very much for that. You're very efficient. And I'm going to have to work out how I'm going to pay it, really. But this is disgusting. You know, they made mistakes. They got my name wrong. They put me in two different courtrooms because they had two different people. One exists, one doesn't exist. They had to drop one offence because that person that was written down as the offender doesn't exist. David A. Bill never existed. I've never gone by that name. And I want everybody to watch this video simply because I want everybody to know what's happening in British courts in 2021, okay, under the coronavirus regulations. I'm just one person. There's probably millions of people like me who are in the same situation, being bullied into paying a fine which is unlawful, okay. I didn't have much of a chance to explain my case. Didn't really want to know. I didn't even respond to the Human Rights Act. Couldn't care less. They just skipped on to something else. Didn't want to hear about any evidence to back up why I was at the demonstration. I was going to talk about the impact on mental health. They didn't allow me to say anything about mental health. So yeah, it's a mess. And you know, these people are dealing with very vulnerable members of the public. A lot of people aren't aware of what's happening around them. A lot of people are going to be confused, anxious, bewildered. They're going to have loads of paperwork thrown at them with loads of different messages on it. A lot of it's illegal stuff because it's misprinted. And the whole Coronavirus Act is pretty much null and void, really, because it's a legislation. It's not a law. Not a law. It's a legislation. Okay. So people can't tell you what to do. Now, whatever you do in life is up to you. I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do because we're all free people. We're all independent people. But all I'm asking you to do, everybody, around the world, think about what is happening to you. Question it. Don't take everything at face value because the media do tell a lot of lies these days, unfortunately. And I don't like using the word lies, but I'm going to be honest with you. The police, I've got no issue with the police, okay. There's some very good police out there. who I think are afraid of losing their jobs and afraid of standing out, and afraid of consequences if they speak up and stand up to this nonsense. There are some police who are very corrupted, very damaged individuals. I could even say psychopaths in all areas of society. A lot of judges are psychopaths as well. It's a bit of a corrupt system out there, guys. So do be mindful, keep protecting yourself, and do question everything. If you're not sure of anything, if you have your doubts about anything that's been sent to you or said to you by the law or anybody else, question it. You're perfectly in your right to question it. You're not being awkward. You're not being difficult. You're just standing up for your basic human rights and your dignity, because you all have dignity. Okay? Stick to your dignity. Share the love. Care for each other. Look out for each other. And we will get through this. Okay? I've been arrested 4 times since November. 4 times. I've been put in a cell every time. 3 times overnight. I've also been strip searched twice. One where I had to bend over and stick my bottom out in front of the police, even though I wasn't being brought in for any drug related charges. And when they brought me in, they told me they were going to just check for drugs if I thought I had drugs on me, and they would strip search me. But they had no reason to check me for drugs, had no reason to strip search me. It's very degrading. I've also been very violently handcuffed. I've had bruising on my wrist before. I've also had my Snowman costume ripped off. I've also been sworn at by the desk sergeant in, I think it was my second visit to custody. The desk sergeant swore at me more than once outside in front of the other officers, thinking they'll get away with it. I've also been temperature probed on my head by the desk sergeant, despite the fact I told him categorically to please do my wrist, because doing it on my head is not what I want. And that's actually battery if you do it on my head. And he just laughed at me and just called me difficult, and then got me to have my head scanned instead. You know, and I've been kept in a cell every time, in a cold cell alone for hours on end, made to feel like an absolute villain, and yet there's violent people out there. I've never touched anybody in my life. I'm not a violent person. In all my 38 years, I've never been in trouble with the police. It's only in the last 3 months where I've had issues with the police because of a coronavirus protest. It is the police who should be charged. It is the police who should be in court. And it's actually the politicians who are directing the police who should be in court above all. And they will be in court, don't worry. This will catch up with them. Everybody in charge of this nonsense, whoever they are, whether they're business people, whether they're scientists, psychologists, police, doctors, everybody that's complicit in this nonsense, and journalists as well, they will all be arrested and they will all be put on trial, just like a Nuremberg trial for crimes against humanity. I've rabbited on enough. I just wanted to share this with you because I feel very passionate about this. I've been through so much over the last few months, all in the name of keeping everybody free, you know, much to the detriment of my own freedom. We just need more people to do, not to get hurt, guys. Don't get hurt. Don't put yourselves at risk. But we have to peacefully resist. If we do this in our thousands, in our millions, this will all stop. But it will only stop if we do this in our millions. If we do this in our hundreds, the police will be all over us. You know, we won't stand a chance. But if we do this in our millions, this will all stop. It will be over. Take care, guys. Keep loving, and thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
And for references, do check out the following websites. I have referenced this video with numerous doctors, scientists, and people who are experts in this particular field of the coronavirus legislation. So if you like the video, do subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Love and Freedom, or my Bitchute channel, which is Sunrise 2020.